looking for. Good morning, I'm Tim LaCrasse. Last week, despite having a 13-point lead in the second half, the Jets lost to the Bengals. Will Chad Pennington be the quarterback of the Jets this Sunday as they take on the Buffalo Bills?
And I'm Pat McGuire. Your Lacey Lions didn't have a scoreboard, but that didn't stop them from putting up points in their victory over Middletown North last weekend. The Lion offense showed just how good it can be, and best of all, there's only one more game left until the playoffs. We have plenty to talk about coming up in the Lions Report.
Once again, good morning. You're watching This Week in Football. As always, I'm Tim LaCrasse. This is Pat McGuire. Last week in the NFL, we had a record-setting day. In Houston, Titans kicker Rob Baronis kicked a record-setting 8 field goals in one game as the Titans beat the Texans. Tom Brady threw for another 6 touchdown passes, and the Giants' offense just keeps rolling. However, before we talk about the NFL, Pat, the Lacey Lions are really on a roll.
You got it right, Tim. The Lacey Lions really are on a roll, and man, did their offense look good against Middletown North. Tom Rickmers and Warren Smith really put on a show, and both played some of the best football they've played all season. The 35 points the offense put up was the most so far this season, which really shows that this team is still improving and ready to make a run at another state title. Wall presents quite a challenge this weekend, and the Lions need to get the victory and head into the very much anticipated playoffs on a 4-game win streak. The offensive line needs to create holes for Rickmers and Mancini to run. Warren Smith and R.J. Rowe need to find their rhythm, and the Lion defense needs to pressure Wall's quarterback this weekend, and the Lions should prevail. It's going to have to be a team effort, but there is no doubt in my mind that the Lions will take care of business this weekend, get the win over Wall, and head into the playoffs with some momentum.
Let's talk about Warren Smith for just a moment. He's getting the ball in his hands. About 8 passing plays a game, and last week he had at least 4 completions in his first 5.
Oh, he's looking good. He's definitely gotten better as the season goes along. He seems way more comfortable at the position now. He really seems like he knows what he's doing. He knows the plays. He knows where guys are going to be on the field. He's throwing some nice passes, and he's really started to connect with his receivers.
He's not afraid if he gets the ball in a passing situation to bring the ball in and run. He did that against Middletown North, wound up getting a 33-yard touchdown run. He's really the real deal, and what the Lions have been looking for in a quarterback in the last couple of years.
Oh, absolutely. He knows. He's confident with the ball now. He knows he has the ability to run. He has speed. He has quickness. He's a very good player, and it's really starting to show this season, and that's why I'm confident with this Lions team going into the playoffs.
Now, Tom Rickmers, another big performance against Middletown North, an 86-yard touchdown run, and it really didn't even look like he got touched at all.
That was such a great play. That was really the play of the year for Tom Rickmers. He really came out, had his best game of the season. He looks primed and ready. Things are really going well for the Lions.
The Lions, as a whole team, did very well against Middletown North. The defense stepped up big. They only allowed 1 big play, 1 big touchdown to occur, and everything else they held the Middletown North offense to basically a halt.
Oh, the defense did a great job once again this week, and that's a really good sign for the Lions. They're really going to need that because they're going to be facing some good teams coming up. As I said, they got Wall this weekend. They can't overlook that game and start looking into the playoffs. They have to beat Wall. They have to play well against Wall and get a win. I think they'll have a lot of respect and definitely a very high seed going into the playoffs.
They did a very good job on stopping the run, even though the defense was in a spread formation, which is kind of odd. They had a weird spread formation, Wall Township. They had 2 receivers spread out wide, and everybody else was bunched at the line. Kind of a whatever, you can do whatever from that formation. The Lions were able to stop the run and stop the pass. A couple of big penalties along the way led the Lions to 35 points. But other than that, the Lions themselves only committed 1 penalty on an extra point, which was a 15-yard too many men. Questionable. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Lions went on to win. They play Wall this weekend coming up after a bye week. And we're going to take a short break here on This Week in Football. When we come back, Pat and I will discuss the big games for Week 8 in the NFL.
Player was Rocky Sand.
Oh yeah? Only bounce in the world amounts to loving for a wizard like me. Every bounce of the ball makes the whole world fall. In love with a wizard, in love with a wizard, with a wizard, in
If you missed last year, the Harlem Wizards are coming back to bounce out the stigma for autism. Tojo will be back, and Pat and I will be there to call all the action November 16th at 7 p.m. in Lacey Township High School gym. Tickets are available in Lacey Township High School main office as well as the Mill Pond School. Welcome back to This Week in Football. The first game on our schedule features the 5-2 New York Football Giants and the 0-7 Dolphins. Pat, will this game being across the ocean in London hurt either of these two teams?
Well, Tim, no doubt the game being played in London will be a very different experience for both teams, but I don't think it will have much an effect on the outcome. The teams have been in London for a few days now, and the jet lag should be all gone. I don't think there is much of a debate who will win this game. The Giants are on a 5-game win streak, while the Dolphins are still looking for their first win of the season. I'll even go as far to say that the Dolphins are the worst team in the NFL right now. The Giants' defense is playing spectacular, and their offense is finally starting to look like they know what they're doing. Meanwhile, the Dolphins took a huge blow when the only bright spot to their offense, running back Ronnie Brown, went down with a knee injury that'll keep him out for the rest of the season. The Dolphins' defense is starting to show a little age and hasn't really been able to stop opposing teams so far this season. It would be an absolute embarrassment if the Giants lose this game, but I'm confident England is going to get to enjoy the 6th straight victory for the Giants.
The worst team in the NFL. I mean, you got a couple of bad teams right now, the Rams, the Dolphins, and do they have a chance of going 0-16 this year?
I don't think that's possible. I think it's almost the chances of them not winning a game are very, very, very high. But what they need to do, I mean, they'll get 1 or 2 wins. Definitely not this week. Definitely not against the Giants. I mean, when they face the Bills, there's other bad teams in the division against the Jets, possibly get a win. But the Dolphins are not playing well right now. They lost Ronnie Brown. A lot of starters aren't in. They don't really have anybody on offense. Their defense seems to be getting old. They can't make the big plays that they used to be making. The offense do not look good. I mean, at least you look at the Rams, you look at other teams that really haven't had that many wins. They just have problems, where the Dolphins just seem to have nothing going right for them and just really no chance.
So you're not the slightest bit scared being a Giant fan facing an 0-7 team who has not had a win at all?
Oh, absolutely not. I think the Giants are going to come out and they're going to keep playing like they've been playing the entire 5-game win streak. Giants have a lot of confidence right now. They're really playing well, and everything's working for them. The team's happy. The players are happy. They're having a good time. They're enjoying themselves, and they're able to come up with wins. So I'm confident the Giants will do it again this week.
So we've talked about the Dolphins' problems. Now, the Giants' successions. Eli Manning did a great job. Not a great job. He did a good job last week against the 49ers. He had one pass where tipped in the first quarter with the 49ers up 7-6, and it really could have gone disaster from there. Luckily, the pass was intercepted, but the Giants held the 49ers up.
Yeah, I think the defense has played a real big part in the Giants so far. And now the offense is finally starting to come in. The defense is not allowing teams to score, giving the ball back to the offense. And Eli Manning has done a good job so far this season. He's really connected with Plaxico Burress. They had a nice little run there during the streak. Brandon Jacobs coming back. He's going to now open up the running game and make things a lot easier for the Giants. Things are looking good. Tim, the Eagles lost a lot of ground in the tight NFC East race with their loss to the Bears last week, while the Minnesota Vikings got completely dominated by your Cowboys. Both teams are at 2-4 at the midpoint of the season. There has to be a winner. Does your boy Donovan McNabb show up today and get the job done?
Absolutely not. Eagles, led by Donovan McNabb, are not in any shape to be even a semi-decent team in the NFL. The Vikings last week were in the game against the Cowboys at halftime, but like every other Cowboy victory, the Cowboys came alive in the second half. Adrian Peterson is going to be a big factor in this week's game. If he can take control of the game, the Vikings will win easily. But if the Eagles can stop Adrian Peterson, which I find highly unlikely, the Eagles will keep this one close. However, I fully expect the game to be the AD show in Minnesota.
That's a bold prediction. You're absolutely right with how Donovan McNabb has led this team. It really hasn't been very consistent so far. But back now to the Vikings and your boy Adrian Peterson. So far this season, if you could pick LaDainian Tomlinson or Adrian Peterson, who would you take for your team?
Oh, right now it's definitely Adrian Peterson. He's on fire. He's got less carries than any of the league's leading rushers, yet he still leads the league in yards gained. He's not even the starting running back there. They have Chester Taylor, who's the starter there. He plays 2 plays maybe every drive. They bring in Adrian Peterson, who gets the bulk of the carries, a bulk of the yards for this team, and he is really better than LT has proven this year. Now, Adrian Peterson, some comparisons to Reggie Bush coming out of college, very quick, can juke the players out of their shoes, but I'm thinking even in his first year, Adrian Peterson is better than Reggie Bush, LaDainian Tomlinson. You name it, Adrian Peterson is probably one of the better rookies running backs to come out of college in the past couple of years.
As I mentioned before, both the Eagles and Vikings are 2-4. Which one of these teams has a better second half of the season?
I don't think the Eagles are going to do anything better than what they've already been doing. They're just having an off year. Donovan McNabb can't control this football team. Brian Westbrook's getting old. The defense is getting banged up, especially the secondary getting banged up. Now, the Vikings have everything really going in their favor. They have the young talent. It's there. Their offensive line is huge. They're able to contain the defensive line somewhat to block the quarterback. But yet, they're still a little bit too young. Their defense is really, really strong. They stop the run very well. The pass, they seem to falter on a pass. But this Viking team is really gearing up for a good second half and maybe a better next year.
Now back to Eagles for one more point. Kevin Curtis and Don McNabb have had a lot of success at some points in the season. Why can't they do it week to week?
I think it's just the teams they're facing. They faced the Bears last week, who had a probably one of the best defenses in the league. And when they beat the Lions, when Kevin Curtis and Donovan McNabb hooked up for all those yards and the touchdowns, it's just that the Lions' defense isn't that good at all. When the good defenses come in, the offense for the Eagles is totally shut down, and that's just basically their problem. They can't break a defense. We're going to take one more quick commercial break here on This Week in Football. When we come back, the rest of the big games of Week 8 plus the WLTS awards for Week 7. Welcome back to This Week in Football. Our next game is between the struggling New York Jets and the Buffalo Bills. Pat, will the Bills win over the Ravens last week and the Jets blowing a second-half lead? Do the Jets have a chance this week at all?
Oh, Tim, actually, I actually like the Jets' chances today. They are faced with an opportunity to avenge a 3-point loss to the Bills in Week 4, and this time they're the home team. The Jets have dropped 4 in a row now, and there hasn't been many bright spots during this losing streak. The Bills don't have much to offer either, having only one other win this season, and I bet most of you watching at home right now can't name their starting quarterback. It's Trent Edwards, by the way. But both teams have kissed their playoff hopes goodbye, and really all they have to look forward to is the draft in April. It's do or die today, definitely for Chad Pennington, and if he doesn't get the win, I can't see him playing many more games. But I do see the Jets coming out and playing not a great game, but a solid one and getting the win.
Well, Eric Mangini announced earlier this week that, Chad Pennington is the starting quarterback for now. Do you think they make a halftime switch similar to what the Cowboys did with Tony Romo and Drew Bledsoe last year, where if Chad Pennington comes into the game, makes 2 bad passes for 2 interceptions, and even with the Jets still in the game, do they go to Kellen Clemens for the second half?
I think the Jets are still in the game. I think they have to go to Kellen Clemens. If the Jets are already out of it, or they really have no chance, or if they're winning, I think Chad's going to stay in the game. But I definitely think that this is judgment day for Chad Pennington. Whether he plays well or not is going to determine how much he plays the rest of the season. The fans want to see Kellen Clemens. The Jets drop 5 in a row, you got to make a change somewhere. So it should be at quarterback. Kellen Clemens should be in, but it's definitely judgment day for Chad Pennington.
Well, let's talk about the Jets' offensive line right now. They can't stop the defensive line at all. Chad Pennington is on the hurry too much, and that's what I think is forcing the errant passes.
Oh, they absolutely have not played well, and it's affected the running game too, because Thomas Jones has not been able to have a good season because he's not seeing many holes. That's affecting their passing game. The O-line definitely needs to improve. The Jets want to turn things around and get a couple wins before the season's over.
Now, you said it. You can't really name the Bills' quarterback, but you said it is Trent Edwards, officially named the starting quarterback for the rest of this year by the Bills. Is he the real deal for the Bills, or is he just temporary for somebody else to come in?
I think there's still a lot to find out. He played a solid game against the Jets in Week 4 the last time he played, and he's played well all season. He's not a great quarterback. He's nothing spectacular, but he has been able to get the job done. Not too many wins, but it'll definitely be interesting to see. He's definitely a person to watch going into the second half of the season and how he performs, because that'll really determine his own future and what direction the Bills go in for the next couple of years. All right, Tim. The Patriots are 7-0 and are absolutely dominating every opponent they face. Tom Brady threw for 6 touchdowns last week, and if you can find the flaw in this Patriot team, I'm sure the Colts will be willing to hire you. Today, the Washington Redskins come into New England with a 4-2 record and are looking to keep pace in the NFC East. Do they ruin the possible undefeated showdown between the Colts and Pats next week?
Let me just say this. Sure, they are blowing every team out, but the team that came closest to beating them, the 0-7 Miami Dolphins. If there is ever a week where the Patriots could have a chance at losing, I think it's this week. Even though the Skins are 4-2, I think the Patriots are going to overlook them. Looking forward to next week's game against the Colts. Right now, everything is going well for the Patriots. Tom Brady is on fire, and Randy Moss hasn't looked this good since he was with the Vikings and Dante Culpepper. Now for the Redskins. Their defense is good enough to stop this air brigade that has been occurring recently with the Patriots. But what they have to do is control the hash marks. If their linebackers can do that, the Redskins will be able to keep this one close and maybe even upset the league best New England Patriots.
So that's a very bold prediction. I mean, the Redskins coming here, they're 4-2, the Patriots are 7-0. Most people have the Patriots win this one. Now, what are the chances that the Patriots go undefeated this season?
I think if they can get past these next 2 weeks, it's just going to be smooth sailing through the rest of the year. And don't expect the Patriots to pull a Tony Dungy move and bench the quarterback, bench your star players the last 2 weeks of the year. He wants this undefeated season. He wants it now. He wants to prove to everybody out there that cheating doesn't matter and that his team is the best team quite possibly in NFL history.
That is a very good point. That will be interesting to see if they are undefeated going that late into the season, what decisions made. I think you're right about Bill Belichick.
I kind of feel bad for the Giants, though. The Giants have them week 17, and it's
Giants can need a win there.
They're gonna need a win.
Absolutely. Now, Lawrence Maroney should be coming back this week. We saw him come back a little bit last week. Does he help or really hurt this Patriots team?
I think he's in the middle. He hurts this team in the fact that he's a good enough back to carry the ball a lot. But he helps his team in just the same way. He can take the ball out of Tom Brady's hands and run it. Except he hurts the receivers. The receivers aren't going to get the ball as much, but still doesn't matter. They're gonna if they're on fire, they're going to be on fire no matter who comes in.
Now back to the Redskins. The Redskins have been successful so far this season. They're 4-2. They're in the thick of the NFC East race. They're certainly in that race. Were they just lucky this first half of the season, or are they a good team? Will their success continue in the second half?
I think they were just running on adrenaline. If you watch the Giant game, their adrenaline just ran out in the fourth quarter. They had the game-winning drive on the goal line, yet they still couldn't get the victory over the Giants. And I think it's just Jason Campbell's running on adrenaline. They're all running on adrenaline. Eventually, the adrenaline will stop, and they'll be able to, really get down to the level that they're going to be playing at. All right, Pat, it's now time for the WLTS Awards. Who do your awards go to this week?
Well, Tim, my MVP definitely has to go to Tom Brady. As we mentioned before, 6 touchdown passes, 11 in his last 2 games. He is on fire right now. The Patriots are on fire. He's the best player in the NFL. He's coveted by every owner. Him and Peyton Manning are probably the only 2 quarterbacks right now that definitely secure their jobs and definitely will be back next season. Patriots are playing awesome. They're a fun team to watch. They're the talk of the nation. Tom Brady definitely deserves all the credit he's been getting. My least valuable player goes to Thomas Jones in the New York Jets. He's supposed to come in here from the Bears and really be the Curtis Martin the Jets had last year and help this team repeat their 10-6 season. Now, regardless of what the offensive line doing, regardless of what everything else that's happening, Thomas Jones has not put up the numbers that he was expected to come in and put up. He's not run well. He's only had 100-yard game so far this season. He's not finding the end zone. Him and Leon Washington have not combined for the duo that the Jets thought they had. He has not played well. I'm very disappointed in Thomas Jones, and I hope that he's able to turn around in the second half of the season and help the Jets get some wins.
Trouble for the Jones brothers, and in general, Julius Jones is going to be losing his starting running back job to Marion Barber in Dallas, and Thomas Jones, as you said, just isn't having a great year. My most valuable player goes to Rob Baronis of the Tennessee Titans last week. As I said in the opener, he had record-setting 8 field goals. Now, quite a few people have gotten 7 field goals in the same game. Billy Cundiff did it for the Cowboys a couple years ago against the Giants. Even better, he took this team on his shoulder with his foot, and he totally just beat the Houston Texans. Now, my least valuable player goes to the Eagles' defense. There just isn't a defense at all on this team. Their defensive line can't put pressure on the quarterback. They totally blew what the fourth quarter lead last week against the Bears. Bears came back, scored the only touchdown of the game in the fourth quarter. And you just can't let that happen with less than a minute to go and a team to go 92 yards or however many yards it was down the field for a game-winning victory. Well, that would just about do it for us here on This Week in Football. Pat, any last comments?
Tim, you can feel it in Lacey Township. The playoffs are coming up. The Lions going to be in the playoffs. They're going to have a home game. Should have maybe 1 or 2 home games, depending on how things go. Big game against Wall. Last week was an impressive win over Middletown North for the homecoming game. Things are really starting to get exciting here. I'm looking forward for the playoffs. The Lions are definitely going to be set and ready to go for another state title. We're going to repeat this year.
It really seems like they're just starting to have fun now and play football, and that's a really good thing. That's exactly what you want in high school football. Now, my thoughts are with all those people in the San Diego County of California. Big wildfires going around. The San Diego Chargers aren't even practicing at their facility. They're down in Arizona. We still don't know where the game is going to be played. It's definitely not going to be in San Diego. Might be in Arizona, or they were talking about moving over to Dallas or Houston. We'll see where it goes. That would just about do it for us here on This Week in Football. Be sure to catch Pat and I every week right here on WLTS as we break down the world of football. Also, be sure to catch Dan Villanova and I for Lacey football all this week as the Lions take out Middletown North for Lacey's homecoming game. So for Pat McGuire, I'm Tim LaCrasse. Happy Sunday, Lacey Township, and enjoy the games.